for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please. Muir?
Here?
Nelson? Keith?
Yes.
Randolph?
Here.
Lindsay?
Here.
O'Brien?
Here.
Decker?
Here.
Mooney? Here. Thank you. Okay. Let's make a motion to open for public comment.
Make a motion open for public comment. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Zay Wilder, 424 Charlestown Road. I have a few items. One is regarding the election. I think it's very just disingenuous of the Facebook Community Bulletin Board, which is not supposed to be political, posting, here's a candidate, here's his video, but we're gonna turn off comments and make you go to the political page. I can understand if you post on the Community Bulletin Board, you just say, go to the Bethlehem Township political page to see what the candidates are about. But when you post the candidate on the Community Bulletin Board, it's very disingenuous. Okay?
Should you go first?
Now, let me finish. please.
Okay.
I'm just saying it's
Oh,
disingenuous.
no, I understand. There's a reason for that.
And both candidates.
Right, no, but there's a reason for that, that's all.
Well, then you have to make it fair to everybody.
The bulletin board is not a township page, it's a private run page.
I understand that.
And I'm just saying, so the administrators of that page do not want any politics, so they have made it in the past, if you post anything, that they want all comments turned off, so people don't do any commenting. They don't have a problem there, but they don't want the
Point, you should not post political campaign. It seems very disingenuous.
And that's fine, but
hypocritical.
both myself and Lee Walter have spoken to them and have permission for posting that on it.
Then the administrator should make that clear because
That's
it
up to them,
seems
right?
fairly
That's fine.
disingenuous.
Do
The
they
second thing
that
is,
section where they could, where Suzanne or.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
there's areas you can reach out to the administrators of the page. and all that.
Right.
I'm just saying from the looks of it, that's all.
No,
I'm just
understood.
making a comment. The other comment is our sign ordinance 10230, number 6, election signs for each parcel, 1 election sign for each candidate or each issue can be displayed, 1 per parcel. Okay? There are more than 1 per parcel. And I saw Mr. Madero's smiling and laughing, posting on the Barnett's farm, multiple on each parcel. I can show you the parcels. Again, very disingenuous, and the reason why I'm bringing it up, okay, because normally I wouldn't, okay, it doesn't really matter to me, but Mr. Madero's in particular has criticized Mr. Baumgarten time and time and time again for doing the slightest of infractions. And then this candidate now and Mr. Madero's coming back and it's okay for them to do it. Again, it's very disingenuous and it shows a level of dishonesty that is not necessary. Thank you. And oh, my last thing. So for resolution 2022.78, if possible, can you please list, it just says with professionals. And then also, I don't understand why the block and lot is not listed. It just seems a little.
Yeah, we addressed that before the meeting tonight, and I think that we can update that.
Okay, well, I just brought it up because I know it's on the agenda, so.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sure
Yeah,
it's not.
I understand.
Okay.
I get that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Anyone online? Okay, need a motion to close public comment?
Motion to close public comment. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to accept the regular session meeting minutes of September 15th, 2022. There was no executive session held.
Make the motion, accept those minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Let the record reflect that that's been accepted. On to the resolutions. Resolution number 2022-77, an updated salary resolution. This is to reflect the hiring of a new mechanic, Lou Smith, for our Public Works Department, who was replacing our previous mechanic and who left on September 1st. Are there no questions or discussions on this resolution?
Because it involves money, we need a roll call, or it's just administrative.
Chris, do we need a roll call? No? Okay.
On the motion, accept this resolution, done.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And then 2020, resolution, I'm sorry, 2022-78. This is the Hendershot property that we're looking to subdivide. We'll get that block and lot updated.
And also the professionals, if you could.
Right, and the professionals. So this is not to exceed $2,000. And this would be to preserve 20 acres of that 100-acre parcel.
Yeah, and the professionals would just be largely our planning board attorney and township attorney, just to discuss how best to subdivide and provide access to that property. So that's it. And yeah, and Mr. Jimenez would be involved as our open space chair.
I emailed him today and he didn't get back to me, but so can you say also the block and lot?
I don't have the block.
I'm trying to find that. But yeah, it's just for Mr. Jimenez to discuss with those professionals so that we can try to make this process a little more smooth or easier to get through for the property owner, and make sure we have everything lined up for the township if we plan on preserving.
Okay. Make a motion. This will be-
Motion authorizes resolution, the amount not to exceed 2,000.
I second.
This is a roll call vote. Keith,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Nelson? Yes. Randall?
Yes.
Muir?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like a motion to be made to pay the bills in the amount of $95,079. There's nothing owed to the school this time.
Make that motion, pay the bills.
Second.
Roll call vote. Keith?
Yes.
Yes.
Nelson? Yes. Randolph?
Yes.
Muir?
Yes.
All right.
So I apologize. I don't want to interrupt, but since we're going on for clarification, it was block 44, lot 29, from what I can tell on that property.
Did you hear him?
Oh, can you repeat that? There's a
Block
background.
40.
Sure. Block 44, lot 29.
Very good. Thank
Is-
you.
All right, next up is report of public safety officials. I don't see anyone in-house or online. So I guess we can move on to Mr. Denver.
Okay, road jobs, Iron Bridge Section 2, lower section. DPW is finishing up the storm sewer, and we've had our pre-construction meeting with the contractor. They should be out in the next couple weeks to pave Iron Bridge. So
Nice.
that will be finished.
Is that going to be closed again?
Most likely.
Okay, we'll just get the dates and we'll.
Yeah.
Post it.
It's difficult because we can't have any of the trucks going over the bridge. So we have to close the road because they basically have to back in and then pull out.
Okay.
Person Road, we received our permit from DOT for the road opening for Person. We have a pre-construction meeting scheduled for that next Friday. DPW has one length of storm sewer to put in, which I think Carl's probably got on the schedule in the next week or two. That one is being paid under the co-op with Southstate. Heritage Park, the permit for the well has been submitted to Bergen County Health Department. Once we get the well permit, the well driller will be out there within 2 weeks. So we're looking at that happening, this month. And then we do have to have water sampling done and checked to make sure that there's no contaminants or anything that we have to treat. And then we'll schedule the plumber to put in the hose bib and the water bottle filling station. So we'll have that done just in time to winterize it.
So, two questions, since it's grant related entirely, how's our time frame?
Our time frame's fine. We're good. We have to do quarterly reports. So fortunately, this next quarterly report will be that the well is, either that we've authorized the well driller and it's on schedule, or that the well has been drilled.
Does it have an expiration date? Say something happens with the well or equipment breaks now,
I can check, but usually these grants have a pretty good lead time on them.
Okay, and then on personal roads, just because so many people had to deal with the trucks, especially with the rock wall, more and more truck traffic. DOT really hammer out the signage to keep the truckers from even going down the road as best they can. That's something
I
like
think-
personal roads.
I don't know what they've done temporarily for the road construction. We are trying to see if we can get something done on a more permanent basis, prohibiting trucks from going down Person. The problem is I tried to get that through DOT's review as part of our local aid application when they reviewed the plans, and they flagged it and said that it had to be approved by their traffic division. So that's a separate application. Okay.
There's some sort of sign there now. Forget what it says.
Yeah, they put some stuff there.
They put something up down.
There are two signs at the top of Person, and I don't remember the exact verbiage, but it's like, not passable or no trucks, but they're on both sides, because part of the problem was there was one only on the right-hand side, which would be the passenger side, and the truck drivers obviously wouldn't really be able to see that. So Carl went and put one on either side of the road as close to 173 as we're allowed to. But yeah, it would be great. And that's part of the larger discussion of not just Person, but many of the roads on 173, at least getting temporary signage during the rock blasting on 173 for the spring, so the trucks know before they turn on those roads that they're not allowed to be there.
Exactly, because once they're committed, then it's a zigzag, they get stuck and it's a problem.
Fortunately, the blasting, I believe, is now on hold for the winter. But it will, everybody's gonna get comfortable with it again. And then spring's gonna hit and we're gonna have the same notifications and everything. But we have been able to arrange, you may have seen on the website that there's more frequent updates, because now I've got Christine and Lou on the email list, so they're getting them real time, just as I would.
Yeah, because Christine, you send them out. I see the.
And Lou posts them.
Yeah, Lou posts them, yeah.
Yeah, so that, they're gonna die down during the winter, they're gonna open up the shoulder again, and then in the spring, they're gonna be back there blasting, so we'll have more announcements. We had a meeting, I guess it was Wednesday.
Yes, finally. Yeah, that took a while. That was my fault. I apologize.
Yeah, it worked out well for me too.
We had a subcommittee meeting with regards to the flood damage protection ordinance. This was another ordinance that DEP has graciously sent our way, and we discussed things. Basically, we're keeping most of the model. There are a few things that we will have for discussion at hopefully the next committee meeting. We have a draft redlined, and Chris, I'll get that to you, and then that can be put on the agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah.
Just to discuss, so we're on the same page, and then we have to send that to DEP and FEMA for their review before we can introduce it. We had some lively discussion at one of the information sessions, because DEP and FEMA have no idea what it takes to get an ordinance through a municipality, and that that an ordinance has to be introduced and adopted in the same calendar year. Because their review period, they want everything to them by November 18th for them to review, which, even if they got it to us within a week, there's no way we can adopt it within 2022, meaning that with their deadline of adopting it by February 15th, we would have to have an introduction at our organization meeting, then it has to go to the planning board, their organization meeting to review, and then for adoption at another. So we made it clear to them that, these are tight timeframes. FEMA assured us that they will work with us if we need more time. So, but that's why we wanted to get ahead of it now.
Yeah.
And tier B, tier A, Mike, I don't know if you've heard anything else.
DEP's acknowledged receipt of our request for an adjudicatory hearing. I think we just have to start considering, potential budget items for next year specifically for street sweeping.
Yeah.
The other issues regarding additional ordinances that are going to be required are in template form. So we can circulate those and you can start reviewing them, but it's a bit of an unknown when we're going to encounter that requirement for quarterly street sweeping. And having discussions with other tier A towns that already have this in the system, apparently there's a high demand now for street sweeping. So we just have to put it on our radar that, in the next 12 to 24 months, there's going to be a substantial fee for the street sweeping.
Yeah. There's also some grant opportunities that we're looking into. I know Highlands has some opportunities for it. There's another grant that DEP has, but it's basically towards if you wanted to set up a storm sewer utility. And basically by applying for that grant, you're accepting that you're going to implement a storm sewer utility if they determine that to be a viable option for the town. So I don't know that that's a grant that we would want to go for yet until we have this adjudicatory hearing. Because they slyly put in there that basically, if you sign on the dotted line, you're committed. So at least that's the way I read it.
Right. But we had argued it's an unfunded mandate, and the pushback is, well, you can start a utility for stormwater. So you could fund it through creating a utility. I don't think it's appropriate for town for this size. But that's some of the grant options.
I guess there's a lot more to learn there is what I'm kind of hearing.
Yeah.
When it comes to street sweeping, we've talked about this before. There's confusion as to what parts of this town would need street sweeping,
It's
like commercial curb.
it's
kind of
well,
kludgy, I guess.
here's what's happening is, Bethlehem and several 100 and some other towns are going from B to A.
Mhm.
But at the same time, there's proposed regulations for A that add additional requirements. And right now, for street sweeping, yes, it's in commercial districts, curved roads, and so forth. However, the proposal for the tier A revisions takes that away. So it's basically any paved roadway, because we did find out that it's not gravel, but any paved roadway that drains to a drainage system. Well, once you have a pipe going underneath the road, that's a drainage system, so it would have to be swept. So yes, so everybody's gonna have to sweep more roads
Okay.
than originally anticipated.
Okay.
It's all good stuff, it's just
Yeah.
funding.
Yeah. Anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you so much. There is no old business. However, I'd like to open this up to some new business discussion items. First discussion item on the docket tonight is to determine a selection method of 2023 professionals fair and open process versus non-fair and open process. I need a motion to discuss.
I'll make a motion to discuss.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I am going to open this up for discussion. Paul, I don't know what your thoughts on this were.
This is our usual, it's our usual process of fair and open. So, if we don't do fair and open, I guess, it's determining what, this is in response to pay to play. So to make sure that nobody is supported by any of the professionals that are applying for the township opportunities. I don't know if Mr. Ogrodnik might have a more legal explanation of it, but in my opinion, the fair and open is the best way to go, so we know who is applying and that they're doing it in the most professional standards.
Yeah, I mean, I see no reason to change the fair and open
Right,
process.
yeah, I know, that's what I think we're all, I think we're all in kind of agreement with that, and I guess when it comes to the reorganization, I guess, Paul, we can talk, I think it was kind of popular last year when the professionals actually introduced themselves. We got a lot of positive feedback on the professionals themselves.
It should be noted that when you have professionals reviewing each other and they're competing for that seat, that's where it can get sticky. So when it's objective review, say Mike is reviewing the engineering applications, we're good. If Tom were expected to review other engineers, taking everything out, there has to be that understanding that may be a conflict because look, they're bidding for that position, but they also have competition for that position. It puts a burden that's not necessarily fair to the reviewer on, say, legitimately, they reject that because it's truly missing something. It's easy to say, Tom wants the position. So I would say, I'm not going to be here, obviously, but when it comes to the fair and open versus unfair, understanding what the mechanisms were set up by the state, why they would even allow for that, not just pay to play, which makes no sense, and it's how it was structured, just to not acknowledge that you're taking bribes, I guess, is what they're implying, as opposed to not saying that. Makes it okay. I would simply say that if the future committee finds where they've put a burden on somebody, say it's Mike to review, and he's also competing for that position, that puts him in a no-win situation. So just be mindful of how that can play out.
Typically what happens, and that's why it's key to have the township administrator, is the administrator and attorney review all applications except for the attorney's application, which then is just the administrator and then maybe one of the elected officials, but typically just the administrator. So no professionals are ever reviewing another professional's application, at least while I've been in charge.
Any other comments? Good stuff, good comments, good feedback. All right,
Do we need a motion to close the open public comment, or close the public comment, or our discussion?
we could open to public comment if we want to. You want to make a-
I'm just asking.
We need a motion to close our discussion and motion to open.
Yeah, we didn't know, yeah, we'll close this discussion and open the public comment.
I'll make a motion to close the committee's public comment or discussion.
Committee's comment, yeah.
Committee's discussion.
I'm making a second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Committee
Aye.
motion open to
Make a
public
motion
comment?
over to public comment. We'd like to weigh in on this.
I'll second that.
Any public comment on this? Not seeing anyone online,
Motion to close public comment. There's none.
and,
I'll
all
second that.
right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that I is to accept the fair and open practice.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good.
Okay, and now our next discussion is a fun one, a determination of date and hours to celebrate Halloween within Bethlehem Township. I need a motion to open discussion. That was a
Motion
two
over
more.
that discussion.
Did a lot of opening and closing.
And I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so I think Halloween falls on a Monday this year, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep.
So what would we like? Would we like it on the weekend? Would we, I honestly, Paul, what are best practices when it falls on some Monday?
Bethlehem has always kept it on the holiday that it is. We've never changed it. typically on the weekends, we've done a 12 to 8. I think when it's been a weekday, we've made it like 3 to 8, just so that, because most kids are in school anyway and parents have to get back home. So I would suggest keeping it on Halloween and running it from 3 to 8.
Okay. Steve, you have any thoughts?
I'm old fashioned. I want to keep it the way it is. Always the same on Halloween.
No, I agree. I like having it on Halloween. And actually, the 8 o'clock was just kind of kept everybody safe.
Okay, then I would need a motion to close, and we will be accepting Halloween on October 31st, the Monday, from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Move to close discussion.
Second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to keep it on Halloween for those hours as said.
That's correct.
2 p.m.
Second motion.
Favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Mr. O'Brien?
The only thing I have is ADS Environmental of Bethlehem Township. We are scheduled for a case management conference on October 28th. It's just with the attorneys. For the benefit of the public, the township won the appeal, and now it's been remanded back to the trial court. Superior Court Judge Honorable O'Neill, Michael O'Neill, will be handling the case again. He handled the initial appeal. So hopefully we're going to get some guidance at the end of October, whether it's going to be remanded directly to the board or whether it's going to be retried on the record that was created in the 13 hearings that preceded that denial. So we're a bit of a wait and see.
Thank you so much. Report of municipal zoning official, that was an email. There's just a couple of items on that. Department of Public Works, Carl, would you like to give an update, or would you rather wait until Mr. Keith gives his update?
He has my report.
Okay, thank you.
I got it. Okay, ready? This is, did a couple of road checks and cleaned off catch basins. Had a yearly park inspection and had a couple of items that were needed to be addressed, and we took care of those. Worked on Iron Bridge Road, the lower half with drainage, which is the biggest part of the month. We got the parks ready for Community Day, which was a good time, and looking forward to next year. Took care of a couple of trees that came down after hours. That's what he got.
Thank you for the fireworks too, Steve. They got a lot of positive feedback, so looking forward to an even bigger show next year, okay?
Yep, as long as we got money, man, I'll make it as big as you want.
Thank you. Report of Animal Control Officer, I didn't see one as of my email, so that might be coming soon. Report of Personnel Technical Support Coordinator, that's myself. I just have a couple of things. Honestly, on the IT front up here at the building, things have been rather quiet, which is always a good thing, with the exception of we have the new check scanner, which is helping out for our tax collector, getting the checks faster to the bank with very little errors. In terms of the HR, I will wait for the township administrator's update on a meeting we had today. That's all on that front. Report of Joint Professional Services Coordinator. Mr. Muir, that's you.
Sure. Nothing significant. I was gonna say the judge had some vacation time, so court will be resuming in October. So there was limited activity in September. Other than that, it's running smoothly.
Great. And then next up is me again, report of Highlands Council Coordinator. There's been some movement on this. Our planner, Elena, has been engaging with the Highlands on our behalf. We had a meeting last week. She also attended the last planning board session last Monday. There's a Could be quite a bit of grants coming our way on about 5 or 6 different projects. We talked about maybe something from tonight, but there's other projects in terms of our master plan, our environmental resource update, some other projects in town from a historical perspective that they are going to be willing to hopefully give us everything they promised would be great. So we'll be working on that in the coming months. Other than that, that should be it on that front. And I guess report of governing body members is next up. Mr. Lindsay, I'll start with you.
So our system for awards management site that's been updated, it was set to expire October 21st. Handled that today, everything's all updated. Takes about 2 or 3 days for it to go to FEMA and then for the feds to do their review and approve it. I spoke with General saying on there is done. We had a meeting. Art, you can jump into this one too with the fire that we had over on Stouts Road. Proved to have some issues, I guess, for the responding agencies. I guess there are definitely some new things for them. So they sort of had a hot wash afterwards, go over, review it. Want to touch on some of the things there?
Yeah, the key things are on these rural roads, it's a real challenge to get enough equipment in. This one challenged us greatly because not only did we have the structure itself, but then we had power lines that obstructed the road along a sizable length. So trying to get into the scene, firefighters actually had to go through the tree line and down to the property to try and access it. And with a pretty significant slope on one side of the house, it made it very challenging. Knock on wood, nobody got hurt. The family got out safely. And it just reminds us of why the simple things like smoke detectors, alarms, and when you see something wrong, get out of harm's way. Property can be replaced, lives cannot. They worked well together. Ironically, it was on the heels of having a very good meeting where we had a good conversation amongst the chiefs and the squads to shake down on these hard realities. And very quickly, those conversations got tested in real time to make sure nobody got hurt. And it worked out under the circumstances. Okay, we got hit with dealing with electricity, power lines, trees, woods, slope, substantial rainstorms, limited access, I mean, everything you could throw at them with snow, and they still dealt with it.
Yeah, first responders did a great job at the meeting. Also prior, but 3 or 4 days, I guess, was prior to that fire, we also had a joint meeting with all the chiefs and the fire first aid rescue squad captains and chiefs, going over some ideas of what we can do to help them, with membership, help them with ideas of getting maybe some of our residents information out there. One of the things we talked about was putting some stuff. I spoke with Lou, putting up links to their sites up on our town page and the contacts for their volunteer resources who to reach out to. So far, I received from both first aid squads their information, haven't had anything from the fire department yet. They're working on that. There are some discussions of they were supposed to put together a couple ideas to bring to the council that for us maybe kick around and talk about for helping recruitment, whether it's maybe putting a waiver or a discount on fees or something for residents that are actively volunteering to serve on one of these fire departments or first aid squads, say for permits or animal licensing fees, that sort of stuff. Couple other ideas are trying to kick around and bring it up. So once they get that information to me, we'll bring it out to the committee and discuss it.
Good ideas. From what I understand, also for the family, I've been seeing some things on Facebook. There are various fundraisers going on for them as well.
There's a private fundraiser set up for them. I mean, the house was a total loss. From speaking with the fire chiefs at first on scene, basically it seems like, I'm going to guess, an electrical fire that started out where they said there was fire coming out of every electrical outlet when they first got there, and everything. The house was actually arcing when they first got on scene. The first fire chief was saying.
Yeah,
So
it had a lot of potential to go really bad on a lot of levels. And I was there for most of the fire until everybody closed out. So that was a 9-hour day. Which, not to quantify time, it's just how long our first responders are gonna be on scene until the job is done and contained. Because of just the way the world is right now and the lack of large-scale community involvement with all the volunteer organizations, I don't know what it is, dog walking for that matter, it's just because we don't have that, we don't have the reserves to cycle people out. So on the first aid side of it, we were spending a fair amount of time making sure that firefighters were okay, because they were pushing themselves beyond the limits that would be fair if you had enough people, but to get the job done and watch out for everybody, they go overboard. And it's our task to make sure that they're okay and we work well together. We really need the community to step up because it's an investment in your neighbor at this level, whether it's squad, anything.
And one of the things they brought out too is get the word out to our community members that these are volunteers. A lot of the community, of our new residents may be coming from, other areas where they're fire, first aid, or paid services. They're all volunteers out here, so I realize that these people that are coming out, the people that are there, these are people that volunteering their time, they're leaving their families, their jobs, whatever else, to go do this to help protect, our residents. And I mentioned that, get that out there, because some people don't realize it, they think they're paid services and they're not.
I think a good thing that came out of it, Jude, was that working with Lou, having a page dedicated to people that volunteer, the organizations themselves, will just help over time because stories get out, things that are actually going on, people can see where they actually can fit in, even if they only have a few hours in the week.
No, thank you to everyone on that front. Thank you very much.
Thank you, that you did a great job out there.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Randall, do you have anything else in your update?
I kind of covered everything with
Okay. Mr. Keefe, anything else to add?
Hang on a minute.
I make a guest appearance because they keep coming in and out. Okay, hey, Paul,
Yeah,
we made an ordinance saying that we could have open fires at the community day, correct?
correct.
Okay, we have to re-look at that next year because I had to pay a burning permit for an open fire from the fire officials just because I opened my mouth and was honest and said, yeah, I'm gonna have a campfire with my family tonight. He said, oh, okay, I have to charge you for a burning permit. I was like, what do you mean? And he said, no, I officially have to do it. I said, okay, I didn't want to fight when I wanted to have a nice day with my family. So I paid him $55. So we have to rethink this because legally he could have charged everybody because after a while I noticed there was a couple people that had open fires. And I went up to the guy and I said, well, why am I paying and everybody else don't have to? And he goes, oh, I didn't notice that. I'll go talk to them now. I said, no, don't bother the town people. I'll eat it. I'll pay for it. Leave everybody else alone. And that's what he did. He did me that favor. But still, I'm pissed off that I had to pay $55, $54, and I'm gonna eat it, big deal. You know what I mean? But he said legally, any open fire, he had to write them a burning permit. So, and he said,
Okay,
legally, he wrote me the jurisdiction numbers, everything like that. So legally, he had the right to do that. So we gotta rethink that next year.
Okay, we can talk to them and see, because there's 4 different classifications of fires for recreation, and so we'll see what we can come up with for next year. I didn't realize that he charged you that, so I apologize, and we'll see if we can do it correctly.
You know, I didn't want to fight with the guy. I wanted to have a bonfire for my family, so.
Yeah. No, we'll see what we can do. There should be some way that we can figure it out next year, because I know there's different classifications.
Don't want everybody else to have to pay for every individual fire, big deal, I need it, no big deal.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Yeah, one other thing, there's a longtime resident in our town who's not doing really good. I went and sat with her tonight and it ain't looking real good. Diane Parisi, she lives on Person Road, longtime resident, longtime farmer. Everybody leave her, think about her in your prayers tonight, man, because she's not doing good at all, so. All right, that's what I got.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ed. Artie.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, all settled in? All right. I guess I'm next up for report of governing body. I have a couple of things left to add for tonight. First up is our tax collections for Q3 are up around a little bit over 98%, which is great. We've also been working on, there's 13 properties, I guess, in danger of going on to tax sale. From what I understand, we are about to have 7 properties actually come off that list, which is really good. Probably representing about 23,000 in back taxes. They'll be coming into the township. So great job to our tax collector there. And then the one last thing that I have, and there's been some online talk about some of these things. The first one is, I met with our zoning official. I had a conference call with him yesterday. There's going to be a follow-up. Paul and I are going to have a follow-up on Tuesday when he's here on site. 2 things. The first one is regarding, there's been some questions from the public on, clear cutting of some of the properties. And we know that there's right to farm, and we know there's a lot of discussion around that. But there's been some, further discussion about maybe notifying some of the preservation committees, hopefully 30 days ahead of time. If some of that is going to take place, our zoning official is open to discussion on that, looking to see what might be able to be done for a communication chain there. Again, there's a follow-up meeting on that on Tuesday night. And then the trucks parked up on the corner of Mine Road and 173. Usually there's that one cab that's there. Now there's 2 trailers that are there. Looking into, what are the zoning, if there's any zoning violations with those trucks. We're not sure yet. We're reaching out. The zoning officer is reaching out to the property owner to discuss and see what can be done about those trailers. And we'll have a follow-up on that as well. And that's what I have for tonight. Mr. Mayor, do you have anything?
Sure, mostly just a lot of thank yous. So, I'll start with you, Judy and Elena, and then I know Tom too. But mostly you and Elena talking to Highlands and preparing some grant opportunities that'll definitely help us out as our budget is stretched and challenged as we go into 2023. I want to thank our Recreation Booster Club. Their executive committee are all new members, and I think they did an excellent job organizing Community Day for the first time as a group, and also the first time in 2 years. So I want to thank them. I want to thank our DPW for preparing the park. I was with them that Friday before a little bit, not doing any of the work, just observing. And but they did a great job. And Carl in particular was there with us all through the Community Day. And then the next day he was there at the fire too. So Carl, thank you for all the time you put in. And then Steve, of course, does the best fireworks for his own town, and we appreciate that. But then again, thank you to our firefighters and rescue squads for the response. I was over at Union Township Community Day, the day after hours, when they were all called out to respond to that fire. So, they all had to leave what should have been a fun day for them, and they all still returned late that night to make sure that everybody was safe for the fireworks over in Union Township. So definitely a long day for them. As far as helping the family, there is a link on our website. Lou put that up for us. So you can look, there's a fund at Regal Federal Credit Union. So it's a safe avenue to go help that family out. So I encourage you to check that out on our website, and if able to help fellow resident neighbors here in Bethlehem Township. That is all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. Kind of went a little out of order. I apologize for that. Ms. Mooney?
Just have a couple of things. We mentioned we hired a DPW mechanic. Seems to be fitting in well. So I think Carl's happy with him. So hopefully that'll work. Copy machine, I have received 3 quotes. I'm still waiting on another couple quotes. So that's probably going to be maybe for budget time next year, but getting a little head start on that.
We're okay
So
right
far,
now.
it's been good, but and as Judy mentioned, we reviewed the personnel policy today with the staff. I updated everyone on the changes that the governing body approved the last meeting. I think it went well. No one really had any issues. You know, a couple little things here or there. It's not
It was
big.
a good
It
discussion.
was,
It was very good. Yeah. You did a great job leading.
Thank you.
That is it.
All right.
Good. I guess we can have a motion open for public comments.
Motion open public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Suzanne Walter, 424 Charlestown Road. These questions are for Mr. Decker. One is, on Iron Bridge Road, if I'm remembering correctly, because you jogged my memory when you said Iron Bridge Road. On the top section that you did, there's those storm drains on the right. It looks like some of them are still not banked. So if you accidentally are too far to the right, it looks like it could cause pretty bad damage to your tires, or if the snowplow comes and hits it. Some of them are baked nicely, so, you know, it's not like a abrupt metal, but if I'm remembering correctly, the last time I was down that road, there was at least one that seemed like if you accidentally get to the right too far.
Yeah, Iron Bridge was extremely challenging with,
I can imagine.
with the inlets, because over a 4-foot wide inlet, you could have an 8 to 12 inch drop.
Exactly.
So it was very difficult to place some of those. We did do the best we could with the situation, because we did have certain areas where those inlets were needed. And we did actually, there was one section, and Carl can probably speak to it too. I think there was one section of the road where we actually raised the road maybe 12 to 18 inches to take out one of those significant bellies, because it was worse before we did it. So we can certainly take a look. And see
Yeah,
if
if there's like you could put fill in or something.
we can take a look.
I know it's a hard road to work on, but it's.
That will. Yeah, that was the difficulty with that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Carl?
There is a couple, but in that situation, we hit rock. So we had to move it forward a little. And we weren't gonna blast the rock out, so that's why there's one or two that stick out just a little.
Well,
further, but we-
Just bank it. I know, I understand you can't unless you're gonna blast bedrock, but if you could, you know, put fill in, so it's more of a gradient rather than, just look at it, you know. I haven't hit him, but doesn't mean I won't. And then my second question for the tier A, all the things that we might have to do and the expense, as an example, street sweeping, and you were saying that town doesn't, you know, to get our own utility for it. As you're looking at the grants that are available and looking at what we might have to do, are you working with other towns in the area to come up with, you know, let's say we do have to do it, the shared services of sharing the street sweeping with Union and Bloomsbury and.
We haven't gotten that far into it, but I can tell you in the conversations and the correspondence that we sent to DEP, we did work together with Alexandria and Union Township. Where, you know, the township attorney and I met with the attorney and engineer for those towns. I happen to be the engineer in Alexandria too. So it was kind of a concerted, there were separate correspondences that went out.
Right, but you're all kind of the same message and.
We all had the same message, so we were all.
And also, like, I don't know if that would impact what grants are available. If, let's say you say you're gonna do a shared street sweeping with Union, does that mean you get less grant money because they're gonna say you're doing it with Union?
I think those are things that we'll certainly be looking at, but right now, I think our main thing is getting past this, getting the DEP to give us the hearing that we requested, because what that hearing is for is, you know, we're not gonna not have to do anything.
Yeah.
Excuse me, it's a matter of what we can possibly negotiate as far as timing or level
Well, that's true, maybe hold off even on thinking about the shared services until you
Until we know
get the
exactly.
worst case scenario. What,
Exactly.
that's true, that's fair. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Berger?
Peter Berger, 134 Blackbrook Road. Mr. Ogrodnik, on the 4th of February, I submitted an Oprah requesting the Mary Knapp settlement paperwork and the receipt. I got a receipt for the cost, $183,000, but I was refused the actual settlement. It's been brought to my attention that as of March 7th of this year, the New Jersey Supreme Court A-34-20 Libertarians for Transparent Government versus Cumberland County 084956 makes it impossible to keep that a secret as long as there are taxpayer monies being spent. So I'm planning on resubmitting that Oprah because of that case.
Could you say the title of the case again, sir? Could you say the title of that case?
You want the numbers or the title? Libertarians for Transparent Government versus Cumberland County. March 7th, 2022, New Jersey Supreme Court, A-34-20, 084956. And I'm going to resubmit the Oprah with that.
Okay.
Thank you. Mrs. Nelson, about Mr. Mullen, we discussed this a little bit.
Yes,
About Mr. Mullen getting a warning about harvesting
correct,
and whether he can alert the preservation people
correct.
ahead of time.
Mhm.
I think that's a fabulous idea, and I thought Mr. Mullen was going to come here and discuss that with us, or you said something about Tuesday. What's going on Tuesday?
So I had a conference call with him yesterday. I know we discussed briefly about maybe getting him here, but I figured I'd better call him first and see exactly what could be done in this area and address these concerns. So he called me yesterday and we had a very good conference call and where he wanted to look into it further. He didn't really have any answers. He also mentioned about, wanting to discuss with Paul and myself about how he gets these notifications. He says he does not hear about every single one. Sometimes it might go through the tax assessor. So it might be a chain of things that still has to be worked out. So it's not something that could have been settled in one call and him going, yeah, I'll do that. So I suggested, I said, okay, take a few days, do what you need to do for your due diligence, and then I'd like and Paul and I are gonna have a follow-up on Tuesday when he's here, because he's here, what, 4:30 to
Oh,
6:30?
just you three?
Just us three, and then see what the next steps are.
I think it's a great idea still.
Yes,
And
and he was not opposed to it at all.
we could have possibly preserved the Hendershot deal. Maybe. Anyway, we could have had a chance
If we knew about it.
if we knew about it.
So, you're right, so there's sort of a chain of command in opening up the communication lines there. And this was a really good first step towards that, so, it was a good idea on your part.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else online? Lou?
Yes. Do you guys hear me? I guess I'm muted here. First of all, thank you very much to Christine and Jennifer and Anita and Monica for becoming Zoom OWL operators. I know it was a long time figuring this out because it's not the most intuitive system to figure out, but you guys are doing a fantastic job, and it's great to be joining the meeting from here instead of there. But I did want to just bring up, in case anyone had noticed it and was wondering what was behind it, we made major changes over the past couple of weeks to the Bethlehem Township website. We essentially reorganized it for one main reason, and that was to improve mobile usability. Notice that about 60% of the access to the site is mobile. So we're trying to adjust the site so there's not an heavy load of images on the first page and things like that. And we changed some things like the fonts to make them more easily visible. There's sort of a second phase to the website that's going to be changed, that's going to be made, and that is a document management system that we're going to bring in to make it much more easy for people to find recent or historical versions of minutes and other documents that would normally be posted on the website. Right now, they're scattered all over the place, and that's got to come back under control into one simple, easy to use system. And the thing that I think one of the most important things we're working on, and which we've started, is the first responder page, which has been talked about by Paul as well as by Art tonight, and very excited to start populating that page. That's it for me.
Thank you for all you're doing on the website. It's a great job.
Thank you.
And thank you for responding on a daily basis to the rockfall notifications and putting that up. Because I know that's what people really need to, they really need to know that information. So thank you.
Well, as Tom Decker pointed out, we also are translating it into English on the website.
For that too. Any other comments? I thought, Brad, I thought you had your hand up at one point. No? Did you get up to get some water or something? Maybe a beer? Not really sure. Okay. All right. That being said,
Make a motion to close public comment.
I'll second it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
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 I don't think there's any executive session tonight, correct? All right, in that case then, we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, everyone.